I'm not a business guy. Never have been. I wore a tie for 30 years, sat at a desk, followed the rules. And then one day, I got called into a meeting, and that was it. Fired at 55. No plan. No idea what to do. I wasn't ready for any of it. But somehow, and I still can't believe this sometimes, I ended up making $6,000 a month flipping old furniture in my garage. This isn't a how-to video. It's just my story, what I lost, what I found, and how I built something with my own two hands when nobody else would give me a chance. I was the dependable one. First in, last out. The guy who brought coffee to meetings and printed the slide decks. Nothing flashy, just solid. I worked in admin support at a logistics firm for over 25 years. I knew the building better than most of the managers. I didn't lead strategy sessions or pitch ideas, but if someone needed a report at 7 a.m., I had it waiting on their desk. I was proud of being the guy people could count on. You do something long enough, you start to believe it's permanent. Then one year, the company merged with a bigger firm. I thought, okay, changes happen. But what I didn't realize was that the new structure didn't include me. They called it a restructure, sat me down in a little glass office, said they were streamlining, and my role was being eliminated. With appreciation, they said. HR handed me an envelope and a packet about outplacement services. I just stared at it. The guy I trained 3 years ago got promoted. I got a cardboard box and a smile. I walked out of that building on a Wednesday afternoon, holding everything from my desk, my mug, some old files, a photo of my kids. I remember standing in the parking lot thinking, what now? No one needs a 55-year-old office guy who doesn't code, doesn't sell, doesn't manage. I didn't have a plan. I wasn't ready. The job was part of who I was. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. It gave my day structure, my week purpose. Every morning, I'd put on a shirt and tie, even when we went casual, because it reminded me that what I did mattered. When that ended, I kept getting up early out of habit. But there was nowhere to go. At first, I told myself this was temporary, just a rough patch. But the longer I stayed home, the smaller I started to feel, like I was watching the world through a window. I'd make jokes about being early retired, but the truth was, I felt useless, like someone had erased me, and I didn't know how to get back on the page. When I lost my job, I figured I just needed a little help to stay afloat. I wasn't asking for much, a few $1,000s, just to cover the bills while I looked for something new. My credit was solid. I had no debt, but every bank I talked to, they saw my age, saw the unemployment box checked, and that was it. Declined? Over and over again. I remember one loan officer looked at me like I was trying to scam him, like I didn't belong there. That stung. It wasn't just about the money. It was the feeling that they'd already decided I wasn't worth investing in. I walked out of those places feeling smaller than when I walked in. I applied to everything. Admin jobs, customer service, even warehouse gigs. Dozens of resumes, tailored cover letters, all the stuff they say you're supposed to do. I got a few callbacks, but none of them felt real. One interview, the manager spent most of the time asking if I'd be comfortable taking direction from someone just out of college. I smiled and said, absolutely. But I could see it in his eyes. He was already checked out. No follow-up. Another time, they asked if I'd still be up for learning new things, as if turning 55 had erased my curiosity. After a while, the interviews stopped feeling like chances. They felt like rituals meant to remind me I didn't belong anymore. There's this slow, creeping feeling that settles in when no one calls you back. At first, you think maybe it's just bad luck. But after weeks of silence, you start to take it personally. I remember walking through the grocery store one day, looking around at everyone else like they were in on something I wasn't, like I was invisible. It's a strange thing, feeling both too old and not old enough to retire. You're just in between. I'd sit at the kitchen table and wonder what the hell I was supposed to do with myself now. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was about purpose, and I felt like mine had been quietly taken away without anyone noticing. I wish I could say I had some big, inspiring reason, but the truth is, I was just too stubborn to quit. Every morning, I'd wake up, pour a cup of coffee, and stare out the window thinking, there's got to be something left for me. I'd look at myself in the mirror, gray hair, tired eyes, and think, you didn't survive all these years just to fade out like this. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was fear. But I wasn't ready to be done. I kept showing up, even when there was nothing to show up for. Sometimes that's all you can do. Keep showing up until something changes. One night, I was sitting on the couch, phone in hand, just scrolling. The usual mix of dogs doing tricks, people cooking 10 meals at once. Then I saw this video. A guy flipping an old dresser. Looked like garbage at first. He sanded it down, painted it, added some new handles, and boom, sold it for a couple $100. I watched another, then another. It was simple, but something about it got to me. I didn't have fancy tools, but I thought, I can do that. I can at least try. It wasn't a business idea, not yet. It was just a spark, but after months of darkness, that spark felt like everything. That next weekend, I spotted this old table at a yard sale. The thing was scratched to hell, a leg wobbled, and the finish was this awful orange-brown color. But I figured, $20? Why not? I hauled it home in the back of my car, dust flying everywhere. I didn't have any real tools, so I borrowed a sander from my neighbor Dave. No clue what I was doing. I just went at it like I was cleaning a pan. After sanding it down, I painted it this deep navy blue I found on clearance. Took me 3 days total. When it was done, I stepped back, looked at it, and thought, that's actually not bad. So I snapped a couple of photos and listed it on Facebook Marketplace, expecting absolutely nothing. To my shock, someone messaged me 2 days later asking if it was still available. I said yes, tried to play it cool. She came by on a Saturday morning, looked it over, handed me $120 in cash, and said, "This is beautiful." I just stood there, smiling like a fool. I think I thanked her 5 times. After she left, I sat in the garage and stared at that empty spot where the table had been. I'd made $100 profit off something someone else threw away. It wasn't just about the money. It was the first time in a long while I felt useful, like I'd actually created something someone else wanted. That feeling? It stuck with me. After that table, I started noticing old furniture everywhere. Craigslist, curbs, thrift shops. Every dresser or nightstand looked like a blank canvas. I didn't have a plan. I just kept doing one piece at a time. I'd mess up the finish or choose the wrong color now and then, but each mistake taught me something. I watched tutorials late at night, learned how to patch wood, how to use wax finishes, how to fix wobbly legs without duct tape. The garage slowly turned into my little workshop. I wasn't making much, but I felt like I was moving, step by step, project by project. And that movement felt better than waiting by the phone. One afternoon, my friend Claire came by to see what I was working on. She snapped a picture of a white dresser I'd just finished and said, "You should put this on Instagram." I laughed, told her, "Claire, I'm 58. I don't even know how to use hashtags." She rolled her eyes and helped me set it up. I started posting before and afters, mostly for fun. But then, something strange happened. People started following, leaving comments, sending messages asking if I could do a piece for them. The page didn't blow up overnight or anything. But it gave me a place to share, a place where people actually cared about what I was making. Even as I was making a little money from furniture, I kept applying for jobs, just in case. I'd still get the same responses, if they bothered to reply at all. Too experienced, not the right fit. Once, a recruiter told me I wouldn't be happy in a fast-paced environment. I didn't even know what that meant. Every rejection was a punch to the gut, but weirdly, it kept driving me back into the garage. That space became my way of pushing back. I couldn't make anyone hire me, but I could still pick up a brush, turn something ugly into something someone loved. That became my answer to all the no's. Just keep building. At some point, without really planning it, the flipping turned into more than a side hustle. I started investing in better tools, a real sander, some good brushes, clamps that actually worked. I cleaned out half the garage, got rid of all the junk I'd been storing, just in case, and set up a real workspace. Hung up some shelves, put a speaker in the corner, played old blues and classic rock while I worked. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. That garage became the one place where I felt like I was in control again. No bosses, no applications, no one asking me to prove I was still useful. Just me, a piece of furniture, and the chance to make it better than I found it. There was this one dresser. Looked simple enough when I bought it. But once I got it home, I realized it was warped in the back, the drawer stuck, and the whole thing had this musty smell from being in someone's damp basement. I tried fixing it, sanding it, painting over it, but nothing worked. The paint bubbled. The wood kept splitting. It took me 2 weeks of trying everything I knew. When I finally finished it, I listed it for cheap, and no one even messaged me. I sat in the garage that night, lights off, just staring at it. I thought maybe I was wasting my time. Maybe this was a fluke, and I'd hit my ceiling. But something told me, just one more project. Just keep going. So I did. Not long after that, I got a message on Instagram from a small boutique across town. They'd seen a few of my pieces and wanted to feature some in their store. I thought it was a prank at first, but it was real. The woman who ran the place said she liked the character in my work. That word stuck with me. Character. No one had ever called anything I made artistic before. I always thought I was just sanding and painting. But maybe there was more to it. That was the first time I felt like I wasn't just surviving. I was actually building something people saw value in. That message changed a lot for me. These days, I don't have a boss. I don't get those vague emails asking if I have a minute to chat. No more performance reviews. No more pretending to be busy in pointless meetings. I wake up when I'm ready, pour a coffee, and walk into my garage with a plan for the day. Some days it's sanding. Some days it's painting. Some days I just sit and sketch ideas. It's quiet. It's mine. I don't dread Mondays anymore. I don't look at the clock wondering when the day will end. I've finally got the kind of work that doesn't feel like work. And for me, that's worth more than any promotion I never got. That's where I'm at now, most months, somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000. It's not some flashy online guru income, but it's enough. It covers everything. I can take my wife out to dinner without checking the bank account first. I can help my daughter with college books. I've got some breathing room for the first time in a long while. And the best part? It's steady. It's honest. It comes from my own 2 hands. When someone pays me now, I know I've earned it. Not from politics or meetings, but from real work. That kind of stability feels better than any paycheck I ever got sitting behind a desk. When I started this, I kept hearing that voice in my head, the one that said I was too old, too slow, not what people wanted anymore. But funny thing is, the more I worked, the more I realized age isn't a weakness. It's a strength. I take my time. I don't cut corners. I care about every little detail. That shows up in the finished piece. Customers tell me it feels like the furniture has a story, and I guess it does. Mine? Every table, every chair, every dresser carries the quiet truth that you're never too old to learn, to build, to matter. Turns out, I wasn't done yet, not even close. Every piece I work on has a story. Some of these things were sitting on the curb, ready for the landfill. Scratched up, broken legs, drawers missing. People saw junk, but I saw potential. I strip it down, fix what's broken, and bring it back to life. And when I'm done, it doesn't just look new, it feels like it matters again. Funny thing is, that's kind of what happened to me too. I was written off, told I was past my prime, but I kept showing up, doing the work. Every dresser I fix is a little reminder that what's beat up isn't worthless. It just needs someone to care. I never thought I'd feel proud sanding furniture in my garage, but here I am. There's something about sanding that quiets everything down. It's just you, the grain of the wood, and a slow rhythm. You don't rush it. You don't force it. You just stay with it. After the noise of the layoffs, the job rejections, the stress, this work gave me peace. It's not flashy, but it's real. I'd put on some music or sometimes nothing at all and just work. No one checking in on me. No deadlines. No panic about numbers. Just focus. Just calm. I used to think success meant constant motion. Now I think it's about finding stillness and staying there long enough to create something good. The biggest shift didn't come from the money. It came from how people saw me. My neighbors stop by to see what I'm working on. Folks online ask questions, tell me they're inspired. Even old co-workers have reached out, not to offer me a job, but to say, well done. But more than any of that, the person I had to win back was myself. For a long time, I felt useless, invisible, like I'd missed my shot. But now I look at my hands and what they've made, and I feel something I hadn't felt in years. Self-respect. That's the real paycheck. That's what keeps me going. If you told me 5 years ago I'd be flipping furniture in my garage, I would have laughed. This wasn't the dream. I thought I'd retire in some office, maybe do some light consulting. But life had other plans. And honestly, this suits me better. I don't wear a tie. I don't sit in meetings pretending to care. I get to build, fix, create. It's quieter, sure, but it's more honest, more grounded. I never thought failure could turn into something this steady, this peaceful. I didn't plan this life, but now I can't imagine wanting any other. I started with a $20 table. I didn't have a plan. I didn't think I was starting a business. I was just trying to stay useful, but over time, I built something real. And somewhere along the way, it built me back, gave me my confidence, my peace, my place in the world. It reminded me that I'm not done, not even close. So if you're out there wondering if it's too late to start over, it's not. You don't need to be a business guy. You just need to pick something up and begin. If this story meant something to you, I hope you'll stick around. Hit subscribe. Maybe give the video a like. It helps more people find it, especially folks who might be feeling stuck like I was. And if you've ever gone through a big change later in life, I'd love to hear your story. What helped you move forward? What skill or passion did you rediscover when everything else fell apart? Drop it in the comments. I read them. You never know who might be inspired by what you share.